Okay, Ryan, so we've got a little before and after with regards to what we're working on in your swing today, right? So, you know, I definitely don't think you're a beginner. It's not like I have to show you what to do for a beginner, right? I think we just work with what you've got and just keep changing that little aspect, keep, you know, turn the screw on that little aspect of your swing, and then eventually it will start to mold together as something which is very nice, and you can hit some predictable shots and predictable ball flights, right? So you can see there how your head's moving down to the right a little bit. You can also see how your hips are moving to the right of the box a little bit because you've got all this space here, right, next to your left hip. So the model, which we've got Dustin Johnson up, is right. The little dot is the centre of his hips. At the top of the swing, I want the centre of your hips to be on that green dot, right? Right about there. Now, I'd say that's about accurate because now here he's got a little bit of space next to his right pocket, right? So his hips have already started to move forward, right? As he starts down, we're going to move onto a bit further forward green dot. As he comes down even further, the hips move more forward, the centre of the hips move more forward onto that green dot. As he moves even further forward, the centre of his hips come down onto that green dot. So you can see by the time he gets to impact, the centre of his hips are pretty much maybe just shy of being over his lead foot, right? So whereas you come down and your hips are nowhere near over your lead foot, right? So this is one of the very first kind of lessons good golfers have to learn, is you have to get back to the ball being over your lead foot. That's the idea of having the weight forward, right? The swing that I teach is the weight never moves back. It never sways over this back foot. It only moves forward. A little bit in your backswing and then even more coming down into the downswing, right? So then as you get to impact there, the hips aren't forward, and then as you come through, you kind of stay back on your back foot. That particular one, the heel comes up, but a lot of them, your heel is still down on the ground until right up there, right? So the drill that we got you doing, just to get your hips moving a little bit more dynamically, was the step drill, right? So you start the club moving, but you're stepping before that club gets to the top of the swing and putting pressure into this forward foot, right down here. There you go. And look how the dynamics of it just gets your hips moving more forward, right? Just gets your hips moving more forward. Now your issue here is that you haven't kept your head in the same place. So your head has moved forward. Now the centre of your shoulders is actually more forward than the centre of your hips. What you see with the pros is as they're coming down, the hips are moving forward, but the head stays in the box, look. So if the head's staying in the box and the hips are forward, hips, shoulders, centre of hips, centre of shoulders, then you got some back bend. Whereas before your head was over here, so you got forward bend, right? This was you doing, you know, I put those little dots on the screen there to illustrate where we want your hips going, right? So they move forward at the top. There you go. So that's the first part. You've got to understand that to get to the top, your hips have got to move forward a little bit, right? And then all the way down to impact, they're just gradually moving more and more and more. You see, that's so much better, right? Look at that position. Now, if you had your head in the box instead of your head over here, because now you've got sort of, you're bending that way, the pros are bending back a little bit because the head's still in the box. But look where the centre of your hips are. Look where the centre of your hips are compared to that one. Look at all this space you've moved away from that red line, whereas before you've only got a little bit of space. So that's so much better.
A little bit, the shaft being forward in a direction.
Yeah, definitely.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So what I did here was I was just illustrating what we want to do, right? So the head stays in the box, hips move forward a little bit at the top, then a little bit more forward to start down, a little bit P5, position 5, a little bit more forward at P6, a little bit more forward at P7, really exaggerating it, look. So you can see how the head is still pretty much in the box, therefore the centre of the shoulders is here, centre of the hips is here, there's your back bend.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's moving the hips forward, yes, that's what we want to do, but also keeping the head in the box. That's very important. Yeah. Make sense?
Yeah.
And when the hips move forward, okay, the heel just comes off the ground. You're not trying to move the heel off
It's
the
just
ground.
going to.
It just does.
Yeah.
Yeah.